What's up, everybody? This is Joseph R. Wheeler III, the artist, the founder, and the president of the ONYXCON Foundation, welcoming you to a special popular news brought to you for our shows and our content, ONYXCON Music. Yes, we cover music here. We cover travel. We cover gaming. We cover comic books. We cover movies. We do a lot. So check around, look at us here and on Instagram, at ONYXCON on Instagram, but also at ONYXCON Music. Yes, we have a special page just for music, and we have also outdoors, fitness, style, a lot. Check it out. But let's get right into it. So everybody, well, not everybody, but a lot of people, if you're into hip-hop and you're into what's going on right now, are talking about the beef with the big three. Or at this point, you could almost call it the beef with the last two, right? And who are the big three? If you're not familiar, we're talking about J. Cole, we're talking about Drake, and we're talking about Kendrick Lamar. All right. These are three of the most prolific men of their time. They have all made an incredible impact on the history of hip-hop as cultures. Oh yeah, let me get that right now. Over here at ONYXCON, we have our own lingo. I don't say for the culture. I say for the cultures. What do I mean by that? I say what you do is not necessarily what I do, and individualism is encouraged even amongst many groups that we can all unify in a common humanity and be one. But we do reserve the right to have individuality and to define ourselves outside of trends and peer pressure to do certain things to define ourselves as part of some made-up culture that does not truly, fully, I repeat, not truly, fully exist. It exists, but in variations. And the variations and the boundaries should be discussed, should be respected. And as a whole, when I say hip hop, yes, I'm speaking of a great whole of many cultures, plural. All right. Now, if it weren't true, we wouldn't have a beef between three. Like I say, now it's down to two. But we would have never had a beef because everybody would have been brotherly and always agreeing. But they don't, okay? They don't. And people got beef. They mad. Do you believe it? Well, that's what I'm here to talk about. I don't know, y'all. I don't know. Ever since the very beginning of this thing, I've been comparing it to professional wrestling. Now, before I go further, let me make it clear. I'm a fan of professional wrestling. At one time in my life, I was a hardcore fan of professional wrestling. I will always have a respect for professional wrestling because of that time in my life. It goes from being a kid, not allowed to watch wrestling in my house because my dad was like, you ain't watching that foolishness, because he saw all the flaws of the racist elements of it back in the 80s, and he didn't want his black child growing up thinking himself any less because of how black wrestlers were treated in that industry. It was a good intent, but I still snuck to watch it with my cousin at his house because his parents didn't care. And I got all into it a little bit. But the more I got into it, I could see what my dad was talking about. And then I could also see what other people were talking about when they would call it fake. Now, I didn't like that because even as a kid, I was like, man, how do you mean it's fake? I heard that board under that man when he slammed on that mat. It didn't sound fake at all. So I grew up into wrestling, and especially in my, I would say, late high school, especially college years, is when I started appreciating it. And when I came back to it for myself, to redefine my fandom for myself. I'm going somewhere with this. Stick with me. It does have to do with this whole Kendrick, Drake, and you know, I'm telling you, it's got everything to do with this. Just stay with me. Especially if you're a wrestling fan, you're going to understand my metaphor, all right? Let's talk. Let's talk for real, all right? So when I came back to wrestling, I came to understand that not only is it theatrical athleticism, notice the words I use, theatrical athleticism. There is a script, yes. There is an intended outcome based on what the federation wants to happen, what the monies, the powers, the corporate powers that be, no matter how big the organization may be, from the smallest indie feds to the biggest WWEs, you know, and every other foundation, you know, federation all over the world. We're talking from Mexico to Japan, all that. And I love Lucha Libre, by the way, but I'm not going to spin off into a tangent about how much I love Lucha. I just want to make the point that I'm well-rounded in this that I'm talking about. It's not coming out of just, who is this guy? What does he know? I know a lot, all right? And I'm speaking this. I'm saying I sense Kayfabe energy in comparison to what's happening in hip-hop right now. Kayfabe is an old word that was used to define the lingo of your gimmick. And they got to stick to the script. And kayfabe was the cultural, inside that industry culture element that meant you gotta, we're gonna pit you against so-and-so, y'all got a beef, and we're gonna run this here storyline and get the fans all involved, and we're gonna make a lot of money off of this. Okay? And it has worked over and over and over and over again. Matter of fact, recently, with one of the, as they say, one of the greatest WrestleManias of all time in Philadelphia, everybody was starting to believe, not everybody, but a lot of people, especially friends of mine who are not watching wrestling regularly enough, saw clips of The Rock beating the hell out of Dusty Rhodes' son, who is now the champion and all that. And at the time when they were leading up to the match, beating him with a belt and all this stuff, and the Rock is calling himself the final boss, and it's like, man, people were believing this. They were really like looking at this like, yo, I mean, even myself as an actor, because I'm an actor too, all right, I'm in the biz, 11 years strong, SAG eligible. If you know what that means for the union, you understand, and you give me my respect. Salute, salute. All right, now, I'm saying, if you understand what you're looking at from an acting standpoint, it was excellent. The Rock was on fire with this thing. All right? I even was looking at it like, damn, bro, you landed on real heavy. But it was funny and crazy at the same time because of that. It was entertaining because of that. So let me go on back over here to Kendrick and them. They're bringing in a new era in hip-hop. For long, people have been complaining there's no good beefs anymore, no lyrics. And the only reason there's no beefs because people can't rap, so they can't battle each other, so they're not going to say anything impressive enough for me to care if they have a beef. And all these dudes do is get mad at each other in tweets and texts and end up shooting each other. Well, the truth is, folks shot each other even when they did have lyrical skill. We all know the results of what happened with Biggie and Tupac. We all know the results of what happened with West Coast versus East Coast and how serious that was in its time, especially if you lived it. Not a kid born into it late and doing research and looking at videos trying to find out about it. I'm talking about folks my age in their 40s. Yo, I'll never forget the feeling of being somewhere and hearing the report that Biggie was shot, that Tupac was killed. That mess was, man, that was too much. And unfortunately, I have to say, in both cases, it was kind of expected because the way they were both living and the energy around their ways was going to lead to something like that eventually. I just didn't see it happening as young as they were. Now, the industry has learned since then that not only is death on that level marketable, look at all of the clothing and dedications and all kind of just stuff, merchandise that has come off of the death of these two men. Look at all of just think about the music and everything that's been made, all the AI stuff that's happening now, right? Okay. Now take that over to something in this new era, okay, of kayfabe battles. That's what I'm gonna call it. I'm gonna call this kayfabe battle. I'm not saying the whole thing is fake. I'm saying there's a lot of potential. This is all guesstimation. This is all just looking at the facts and doing an assessment and coming to a conclusion, right? Based on the fact, not only am I in the film industry, I've been around people in the music business. I know a little bit about that world, enough to know that folks will do all kind of stuff to make sure a check comes in. And when money is involved in the potential of money and a market for hype, they will do some strange stuff just to get the end result. So in the case of this, I really feel like it's doing a great disservice to those who are from my generation who really think they're witnessing the return of real lyrical battle and all of this. Yeah, a lot of slick, cool stuff has been said from both sides. And shout out to Cole for getting out before it went to full heated war, which is where we're at right now. But here's the thing about that. Cole, to me, was smart enough to just, I really feel like all three, in a way, at some point, may have agreed to have a falling out or may have had a friendly, competitive something happen behind closed doors that led them to say, you know, man, if we put this on wax, imagine what this could be for the industry, for the culture, right? Okay, yeah. And they did it. Now, the problem with that is people don't know how to not hit below the belt. And where I see it now, where things are now, where folks are talking about each other's families and kids and stuff, they always say, most people say in beef, that's the don't go there. But people always go there. Everybody says that's forbidden, but then they always go there. So now we're at that dangerous point where if you, again, go into the history of beef, you have people who always say it's not you and the other guy you're beefing with most of the time. It's not you and the other woman you're beefing with, for the female rappers who've gotten into it. It's your crew. It's your entourage you got to watch. Because in the classic track that Kendrick made about, bringing his friend to the BET Awards, and these guys are from the hood, and they thinking about robbing folk and stuff, and he realized, whoa, I got to drop these guys out my entourage. I'm rolling with the wrong ones. Now, that was a track back then where, he dropped that, and it was classic. It's one of the reasons, those and other tracks like it are the reason why I respect Kendrick so much. He's a true artist, y'all. Just a true all-around artist. He goes so many ways. He can do role play. He can tell a story. He can battle. He is the full real deal, the true definition of a hip-hop MC. Okay? So in this whole thing, I'm definitely a fan of Kendrick, first and foremost, right? And I'm not even saying who's winning. I don't care who's winning. I'm just saying no matter what happens, Kendrick is always on top in my mind artistically. Now, Drake is an artist in his own right too, and I give him respect for being single and dating, and I can relate to that. So I've loved a lot of those tracks he did. Hotline was my shit. I like Hotline, okay? And even Big as the Super Bowl, him and Drake, I was like, I didn't know there was a diss in there to Kendrick. I didn't care. It was just a hot track. It gets me hype. It's something you listen to when you work out. You know what I mean? It's just that kind of track. Hey, Shawty Red, what you doing, man? Hey, Shawty, I'm just trying to tell you, man. This thing done hit a whole nother level. Hey, what are you talking about, brother? I'm up in here doing an edit right now. I mean, Drake, he dropped one saying some crazy stuff about Atlanta. I just want to let you know, he talking about the A-Town. You know we don't play that. He's talking about what? See for yourself right there, player. I'm just trying to tell you. Look at it. And then he said, and then, oh, gosh, seriously, dude? Hey, but that ain't it, man. That ain't it. You know what I'm saying? That boy Kendrick on some real stuff, boy. He just came back on him real hard, shawty. He like, bam, bam, bam. You know what I'm saying? He just hitting him upside the head every which way, playboy. I'm trying to tell you, man, look at it right here. Look at what he done dropped right now, man. Okay. All right, he done set the record straight. Okay, Kendrick, we appreciate you. A-Town, salute, you know what I'm saying? But damn, this has reached another level, folks. We talking about messing with young girls' accusations. This is real at this point. I mean, they done taken it to family. That was too much out of inappropriate. But now we done got to the point where you're accusing folk of being pedophile. I'm not saying it's true or not true. I'm saying if he gonna go that far, he obviously really got a beef with Drake. This is now some serious garbage. Oh, and that's sad for us as fans. Let it continue, man. Where I left off, just let it keep going. And that's literally where I left it. But then I found out, it's all this other stuff attached to it. See, this is what I'm saying. It's ruining the real reason anybody as a fan is into any of this. We just listening for something that gives us a certain type of feeling for a certain mood we need at a certain point in life. Keyword life. That's when folks be like, nah, you done took it too damn far, and somebody gonna want to catch you at an award show, or next time you out on the boulevard, or wherever is public enough for anybody to just be there. Stuff be happening, and that's not cool. I'm tired of hearing it. It's like when you can see the possibility of bullish before it happens, and you're like, damn, why did it have to get here? Right? We can't afford, we meaning the cultures, can't afford another beatdown, another death, nothing crazy like that. And a legendary MC Supernatural, if you don't know who he is, look him up. He did a video and was very skeptical about putting it out because he felt like there's a lot of strong things he was going to say, and he didn't know if he really wanted to go there. But I love that he did. Observation
that I've been observing for quite a while now, and at this point, we have to wake up, black men. We have to change our message. We have to talk to those that are promoting that. Now, you can't just walk up on anybody in this world. I'm aware of that. But I am aware that the problem starts within, and that's the only way that we resolve a subject. So I say this wholeheartedly and truthfully, man. Change the message, change the narrative, and just know, even with all of this back and forth with Kendrick Lamar, Drake, Future, all of these dudes that are going at each other right now. This is some of the weakest shit I've ever seen. And number two, it's a distraction, y'all. It's a distraction to keep you from paying attention to what's really going on. All of these dudes are down together. Ain't no telling they try, let's crank up the beef machine behind closed doors and get everybody talking so you won't pay attention to what's really going on in the world. Wake up, people. Wake up. I'm on the front line till it's crunch time. And I'm going to still be on the front line after that.
And he was much from the perspective of what D1 from New Orleans is on these days. Has been on, what am I talking about these days? That is D1. That's who he is. And that's why I love D1. I respect that brother so much. You know, and I'm not, you know, he's a self-proclaimed Christian rapper. I'm talking about D1 right now. I'm coming back to Supernatural. But, you know, D1, when he came out against Meek Mill and Rick Ross and folks like that and telling them, yo, we got to stop all this drug lyric, gang, kill garbage. We got to get back to the original reason that hip hop existed, was to combat all of that. It was coming out of, folk were in gangs and all this poverty. We got to bring the party. We got to bring the consciousness. We got to do something to save ourselves. That was the original purpose of hip hop as a culture, period. And I love that he brought that back. And then enough other hardcore gangstified folk, you know, shout out to, you know what I'm saying, Styles P and other folks who've backed up and have co-signed D1 to say, you know, in so many words, like, not only am I with him, but like, you know, I knew what that is when I saw that. I was like, yo, like, translation, y'all, all these thuggy kind of cats think they gonna jump on these quote unquote squares. Well, guess what? They got some G's behind them. Like, don't play. You know what I'm saying? Because they got the real answers. We the realest of us that done lived that gangster life. No, all we ever wanted was to have that comfort and peace that comes from being conscious. So the conscious cats that's saying something worth hearing, we backing them up. Period. I dig that. So here's my thing with Kendrick. It's like Kendrick is like that kind of dude in the sense that, yes, he ain't directly banging, but he got the blood history and everything in LA and all of that. You know what I'm saying? So we all know where it can go if enough of his folk get mad enough and don't understand he's being artistic. You know what I mean? And then Drake swears he got enough thugs in Canada to equal anything that's going on in America. Whatever, man. None of that shit is important. None of that is healthy. None of that is bringing us where we need to be. And back to what I was going to say that Supernatural dropped is, in so many words, he was repeating what D1 has already said about enough of these drug lyrics, these gang lyrics, all this stuff that is negative. And he also mentioned that there was a time in black music where things were about love. The harmony, the frequency was about love. And I think the thing that bothers me the most about what Kendrick has been doing, okay, as a fan, what bothers me the most is that sample-wise for this beef, it's brilliant on an artistic level, but at the same time, for me, it's shallow on a meaning level, knowing I know he knows. He's way too intelligent to not know what he's borrowing from to make his point when he and his crew, his producers, whoever, select Al Green, select, I'm forgetting the name of the track right now, but my greatest inspiration. You know what I'm saying? Those songs were about the love that Supernatural is referencing in the history of black people and what we really come from. You know, it's not to say we can't go warrior mode, but the problem is we go warrior mode with each other instead of preparing for the real enemies. We find a reason to be beefing over nonsense instead of preparing for real enemies who've shown themselves to be so. Now and in the future. In the past, it don't matter. They all around you at all times. And you out here still at each other? Man, damn. And I'm saying, and for it to be over tracks that had nothing to do with this kind of energy. The energy frequencies are off. And this is somebody I know who understands energy frequencies. So all I would like out of all of this is I really would hope, if it is kayfabe and it's just getting out of hand, first of all, I hope they detach themselves from their entourages and crews and put them in check or whatever they got to do to keep that from getting crazy on a real street level. Number two, I hope that Cole, since he was the first to be like, look, on some mature stuff, Kendrick's one of the greatest rappers of all time, and I regret that I even did that silly shit. Okay, them two need to come together, and then all three of them need to come together because it's still for the business, it's still for the art of whatever it is, from pugilism, okay, boxing, the sweet science, all the way to wrestling and kayfabe and all that. Hip-hop could be on those levels if it would just stop being immature about it. The problem is too much of what people consider to be hip-hop and be from the streets of it all just can't get away from real beef. And people say they don't want to see another funeral and stuff, but I'm noticing that some of these people talking about this, the truth is they don't care. That's all they know. And they don't even feel comfortable unless there's blood running in the street. They don't even feel comfortable unless it gets to a real physical altercation. And that shows the psychological imbalance. That shows psychosis for real. That is where we got to start dealing with this thing head on before it's ridiculous.